Hello fight fans, welcome back to my channel, the MMA Girl. Of course, I'm Jess, the MMA Girl, and we are here for UFC 320. I cannot compose myself with the excitement I have for this card. I've been waiting for so long for Alex Pereira to come back into the octagon and see what he has been improving on to face Ankalaev, the current light heavyweight champion, of course, defending his belt for the very first time since winning against Alex Pereira in a fight that we wouldn't have expected to happen. Ankalaev was one of the toughest opponents Alex has faced, but Alex just didn't seem himself. And this time around, apparently, according to Alex, according to his team, we've never seen an Alex Pereira as fired up, as fast, as ready than the Alex Pereira we're going to be seeing on Saturday night. And I hope to see something better than we last did, because when you see one of your favorite fighters losing, I know for fight fans, of course, that's how we feel. It's obviously horrible to see them get knocked out or submitted, but it's even worse, personally, when you see them get beaten by someone via decision when it was kind of very close and the decision could have been in their favor if things were different. Now, this time around, apparently, things are different. So we're going to be going into UFC 320. Of course, as usual, I'm going to be going over the fights from the prelim card to not miss out on. And of course, you're going to be getting my UFC 320 main card picks in this video, of course, so skip over to those if you don't want to listen to the rest. But let's get into the UFC 320 card and all the good stuff coming up this Saturday night. As this is a numbered card, we do have a early prelim card and a prelim card, so there are quite a few fights on the prelims to begin with. Kicking off the prelim card, the early prelim card, is Veronica Hardy, of course, Dan Hardy's lovely wife. We love seeing her come back into the cage every time she's back, and she'll be taking on Brogan Walker. Now, Veronica has a current record of 9 victories to 5 defeats and 1 no contest, and her opponent, Walker, has 7 victories to 4 defeats. This is going to be a big challenge for Veronica. I'm happy to see her back for a big card like this, and we wish her all the best, of course. Austin Vanderford is back, Paige Van Zandt's wonderful husband, who just signed to the UFC. Of course, he had his first fight in the UFC a while back, and he is back for his second official numbered card fight, and he'll be coming back against Rahim Brahimaj, who has a record of 12 victories to 5 defeats, and of course, Austin Vanderford has a record of 13 victories to 2 defeats. Don't blink, this fight is going to be a banger, and I can't wait to see Austin back in the octagon. He, of course, put on a banger for us for his debut fight at the UFC, so I'm hoping to see the same thing this time around, so not to miss out on Austin's second fight at the UFC. Of course, fallen from grace, Patchy Mix is back. He is on the early prelim card, which is a real fall from grace for someone who was on the main card of UFC 318 to then be on the early prelim card of UFC 320. It's a really sad thing to see. But anyway, Patchy Mix is back. He'll be taking on Jacob Wiklas. And Patchy Mix has currently got a record of 20 victories to 2 defeats. And his opponent has a record of 60 victories to 3 defeats and 2 no contests. So this is a big test for Patchy Mix. So this is a fight not to miss out on, because this could define his future in the UFC. If this goes really well for him, he may be able to come back and do some main card fights and maybe win back his favors with the UFC. Or this may prove that he's just simply not on the UFC level, even with early prelim fights on big cards like this. If he's not able to win this fight, he has no business being in the UFC. I think we can all agree with that. We then have Macy Chazen, who's coming back. She'll be taking on Yana Santos. Macy has a current record of 11 victories to 4 defeats, and Yana Santos has a record of 16 victories to 8 defeats. Not to miss out on this last fight on the early prelim card. So we have a total of 9 prelim fights. We have 5 early prelims and 4 normal prelim fights. And the normal prelim fight card is also filled with bangers. We have Chris Gutierrez coming back. He'll be taking on Farid Basharat. Chris is currently on a record of 22 victories to 6 defeats and 2 no contests. And Basharat has a record of 13 victories to 0 defeats. So of course, this is a big fight. Is Gutierrez going to be taking away Basharat's 0, or is Basharat going to be staying invincible and unbeaten for now? That's a huge fight. A lot of things at stake, so I can't wait to see that. We also have Edmund Shabazian coming back. He's currently got a record of 15 victories to 5 defeats, and he'll be taking on Andre Muniz with a record of 24 victories to 7 defeats. I love when we see Edmund come back into the octagon. He's a great fighter, always puts on a show, and this will not be any different. I think he'll put on a good show. Hopefully he'll get the W here, and continue his good winning streak. But he's a great fighter, and I'm happy to see him back on a card like this one. For the ESPN featured prelim, we have a real banger fight. We have Ateba Gautier. Ateba Gautier is a Cameroonian fighter who made his debut at Dana White's Contender Series, and since then has come over and over again to his fights and made spectacular KOs, spectacular fights, and spectacular finishes. Now, he's on a streak right now where he is at 8-1. So 8 victories to 1 defeat. He has been putting to sleep all his opponents at the UFC. He has proven to be a real problem in the middleweight division, and he's been training recently with Sean Strickland. Gautier is a real threat to the middleweight division. I'm excited to see what Ateba gets done in the octagon against Vines. Probably one of the biggest things that will happen to him if he wins this fight is that he'll get a ranked opponent after this, and I could not wait to see him, Ateba, go against someone who is in the top 10 of the middleweight division. It'll be fireworks. So that's it for the prelim fights. Let's get on to the main card and my main card picks. I'm so excited. So for the first fight of the main card at UFC 320 this weekend on October 4th, of course, happening Saturday night, we have Magomed versus Joe Pyfer. Magomed versus Joe Pyfer. I'm very excited to see Joe Pyfer back in action, and Magomed always puts on the show as well. Of course, these two are very skilled strikers and very skilled grapplers as well. However, for me, I believe that Magomed will get the victory here over Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer is a really good opponent for Magomed in order for Magomed to show off his skills in the octagon. But I believe that he has that edge on Joe Pyfer in terms of his overall complete skills in the octagon. His grappling is better than Joe Pyfer's, and his striking is very explosive and very much challenge for some of his opponents in the past. So I think Joe Pyfer, unfortunately, will fall victim to Magomedov's wrath and power and will get the UD in this fight, or a late stoppage in the third. Next up, we have Josh Emmett, who is coming out of a full camp, having trained and worked very hard on his body with TJ Dillashaw. If you watch any of Josh Emmett's videos on TikTok, or if you follow him on any social medias, you'll find he has been working out really hard with TJ Dillashaw in the lab. He's at 19 victories to 5 defeats. He'll be taking on Youssef Zalal. Youssef Zalal, of course, with a record of 17 victories to 5 defeats and 1 no contest. So they have a very similar record, both of them. Matchmaking, of course, done perfectly for this featherweight bout. Having seen the odds, Youssef is way over. He is the favorite in this fight, but I'm going to go for the underdog. I'm going to go for Josh Emmett via KO in the first or second round. I think that Josh Emmett has the explosivity. He's been working hard in the lab with TJ Dillashaw. He's in the shape of his life, and I believe Josh Emmett will come back with a bang after, of course, his UD loss against Leroy Murphy in their main event at the Apex, which was a disappointment, of course, but I think Josh Emmett landed some really nice strikes on Leroy Murphy. Leroy Murphy's got a great chin and was able to dodge a lot of that striking from Josh Emmett, but we can't forget what Josh Emmett is worth, of course. And even though Youssef Zalal is younger, he's coming up in the ranks in the featherweight division, I don't think that Youssef will manage to beat a Josh Emmett. So I'm going to go for a KO victory for Josh Emmett in the first or second round of this featherweight bout. Next up, we have Jiri Prochazka, of course, taking on Khalil Rountree Jr. And if you guys watch a bit of Daniel Cormier's content on YouTube, he has started a new series of podcast type episodes called The Daniel Cormier Show, where he sits down and goes in depth with the fighters. They talk about their life, training, their life schedule, their sleep schedule, everything. And he had a real nice sit down with Khalil Rountree Jr. We, of course, know about his background, of course, losing all the weight he had. He was over 300 pounds. Saying that, of course, MMA saved his life. But it was just nice to go in depth into a bit more of what he was going through before and how MMA really did change his life for the better. So it was really nice to see. So I recommend you go and see that. Of course, I have a soft spot for that kind of stuff. But for me, Jiri Prochazka is one of the, if not the biggest challenge, apart from Alex Pereira, that Khalil Rountree will face on his come up to a title shot, because of course that's his main objective in this fight. Of course, Khalil Rountree wants a last chance to touch UFC light heavyweight gold, so this could be his only opportunity to get gold for the rest of his career. Now, Jiri Prochazka is a former champion at light heavyweight. He, of course, beat champions like Glover Teixeira. He, of course, beat Jamal Hill. He now is, of course, trying to work his way back in the ranks after having beaten Jamal Hill. And this is what these guys have in common. Khalil Rountree Jr. just beat recently Jamal Hill at UFC Baku via UD. He took every single round, got a clean sweep in that fight, and he played it safe. But his usual fighting style is, of course, very explosive, very direct. As soon as the bell rings, he is on it. And Procházka, we can say the same thing for him as well. So this is going to be really explosive from the get-go. And I think we're going to be seeing in this 3-round bout some real action, because these guys know this is not a 5-rounder. They are more used to 5-rounders now than 3-rounders, but this is not a 5-rounder. They're going to have to get it done in 3 rounds. So I see Khalil Rountree Jr. winning this fight via late stoppage in the 3rd. And I don't see this fight going to a decision. It could do, of course. We've seen both these guys go to a decision over 5 rounds or 3 rounds, respectively. But I think that Khalil Rountree Jr. is going to step it up a bit because he needs this win. And of course, Procházka will say the same thing. But I think that Khalil Rountree Jr. is just that more violent and just that more precise when sending those low kicks, getting those low kicks in, punching real hard. And I think he'd get the job done via finish in those later rounds. What do you guys think of this huge bout? Of course, this is a number 1 contender bout for the next person in line for the light heavyweight belt. So once we have a winner between Ankalaev and Alex Pereira, we'll know then obviously the winner of Jiri Procházka versus Khalil Rountree Jr. will be the next in line against that person. So a lot of things at stake for this fight as well. Next up, of course, we have the co-main event of the evening. Merab Dvalishvili, of course, coming back to defend his title once again in bantamweight, in the bantamweight division, against the number 1 contender currently, the number 1 contender in the sense that he won his place as number 1 contender, Cory Sandhagen. Now, Cory Sandhagen, of course, he is training with Trevor Whitman, who has dedicated his training to only 3 crucial MMA fighters, of course, Kamaru Usman, Justin Gaethje, and Cory Sandhagen. So he has the know-it-all and the fight IQ of 2 of the biggest fighters in the UFC and 2 of the best and most experienced fighters in the UFC, with a coach that can really lead him to greatness. Now, is Cory Sandhagen a risk and a threat to Merab Dvalishvili? Of course. His fighting style is much different to what he's already seen in the octagon, but is Merab Dvalishvili capable of beating him? Of course. And I'm, of course, going to be picking Merab Dvalishvili for the win here. He is, of course, the best bantamweight we've seen in quite some time. If you guys watch Mighty Mouse's channel, Dimitri Johnson, he went and trained with Merab Dvalishvili during this camp and was submitted several times by Merab, which is surprising in the sense that Mighty Mouse is one of the best we've seen in the world in MMA. But Merab Dvalishvili is just that much better. He will be, and he will go down as the best and most, I would say, accomplished bantamweights in the UFC history. So for me, yes, Merab Dvalishvili will win this fight, and he will get the job done via submission in the 3rd or the 4th round, just as he submitted Sean O'Malley in his last fight. But I think this will go a bit further than Sean O'Malley, but I think that Merab will get the job done in the 3rd or 4th round via submission again to retain the UFC Bantamweight Championship. And last but not least, of course, we have the main event of UFC 320, Magomed Ankalaev, with 21 victories to 1 defeat. And the one single defeat he has was against freshly retired Paul Craig in a fight that we would not have expected that to happen. And of course, going on to having a career that he has had at the UFC, Paul Craig can be almost proud that he was the only person to put away the current UFC light heavyweight champion. However, he'll be taking on the scariest boogeyman of the light heavyweight division, who unfortunately lost via UD to lose his belt against Ankalaev, Alex Pereira. Of course, Poatan is looking to regain his belt. He has been working very hard. According to Glover Teixeira, he is looking the best he has ever looked. And he is the most aggressive version of himself. And we will see that on Saturday night. And hopefully things will change for Alex Pereira and he won't lose via UD once again. And I think personally, if I'm going to be honest, even though the betting odds show that Ankalaev will win again via UD, I think that will not happen. I think that the fighting style that Alex Pereira is looking to adopt for this fight is going to result in a KO from either Ankalaev or from himself. I don't think that Alex Pereira will let this go to a UD. He won't let the judges decide whether or not he gets his belt back. I think he wants to precisely win this fight by KOing Ankalaev. We know he can't finish him via submission, so this will have to stay on the feet. This will stay on the feet. And Ankalaev, if he wants to take Alex Pereira down because he's struggling with the intensity and the speed that Alex Pereira is putting on him, then maybe we may see a sub from Ankalaev, or at least some ground and pound to win this fight via TKO. However, it's really hard to pick. It's really hard to pick this one. Alex, of course, he has won 12 fights in his pro MMA career. Ankalaev has won 21. In terms of experience and fight IQ, Ankalaev obviously takes the cake. Is the work and the hardships that Alex has been through, has that been enough to change his fighting style for this fight? I don't know. He, of course, puts a lot of the blame onto him feeling sick the day of the fight. He didn't train as much as he should have done. He traveled quite a bit. He'd taken this fight camp a lot more serious than the last time. And I can't help but want to choose Alex because, of course, part of me wants Alex to win. But if I were to look at this objectively, Alex is coming back for one thing only. This is his last chance to get the belt back, and then he'll be put back in the back burner. He'll, of course, have to fight other people if he wants to get back to a title shot. But this time around, will Alex be a different Alex? I believe truly that he won't be the same. He would have learnt his lesson from the last time, and he will be able to put to sleep Ankalaev. Whether or not Magomed Ankalaev gets KO'd clean, or whether it's a TKO victory for Alex, I think truly that Alex could get this one done around the third or fourth round via KO or TKO, ground and pound. Now, I don't want to eat my words, of course, because I'd love for that to happen, but I'm not saying that because I would love that to happen. I believe truly that Alex can get it done this time, and I think he'll get his belt back on Saturday night, which will, of course, make a lot of fight fans very happy, indeed, and including myself, because, of course, I want him to finish his story, and at 37 years old, almost 38, he needs to finish his story as soon as possible because he hasn't got that much time left in the tank. So I'm sticking with my pick. I'm going with my gut. I'm going to say Alex Pereira win via third or fourth round TKO or KO over Magomed Ankalaev. Let me know in the comments down below who are you picking for Saturday night's fights, and let me know if I'm crazy. Let me know if you agree with me, and we'll see each other for an episode of my podcast this week. See you guys later, and I hope you have a great fight week. Bye.